Hey there, Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for July 13th through 20th, 2026. Well, the second half of July has some of the most intense astrology, the combination of tense squares and oppositions. At the same time, we know we have this beautiful kite formation, the planets coming into sextile with each other, or have come into exact sextile with each other. Pluto in Aquarius, Neptune in Aries, and Uranus in Gemini. That puts Uranus and Gemini in trine to Pluto in Aquarius. Very beautiful configuration. So the message is that, yes, this is the intense kind of final battle or culmination of some sort of story or something, but things are lining up. So let's talk it through. The Jupiter and Chiron came into their square from the 1st through the 3rd of July, and that they're just coming out of that square. Jupiter moved into Leo on July 1st. And then, so it's like coming off of this square that we've been kind of this anticipation building over this third and final Jupiter square Chiron. They came together twice already in October and December of 2025. We started feeling the influence of that all the way back in September 2025. So we've been waiting. It's just this anticipation, and it's like, oh, okay, got through the Jupiter square Chiron, but then Jupiter moving right into opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. And it's intense because Pluto, Jupiter is so excited to be in Leo. Leo is this expressive, jubilant, willing to express and shine. And Jupiter's, pushing us to expand into, especially supernova souls, into showing and shining our light. So that's kind of this energy of, and then, but in opposition, and the square with Chiron at 0 degrees of Taurus, and then opposition with Pluto. Pluto's retrograde, and what made it to 5 degrees, but now is at 4 degrees, and we'll come to 3 degrees this week. And so that energy of Jupiter moving in and then Pluto retrograde, exactly opposite of each other. But remember, Pluto is this key player in this top of the kite shape. And actually, Jupiter in opposition to Pluto means that Jupiter will be kind of playing along with this game, because Jupiter will be at 4 degrees and of Leo. And so that means that another planet at 4 degrees. And so we've got Pluto Aquarius, Venus in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, and then the next one too. So when this happens in the sky, it's like a star formation. Because if there's sextiles all the way around the zodiac, you have a 6-pointed star. And so there's this energy of activating into our higher potential when we have these lineups. And wow. So this gives a different flavor to the Jupiter opposite Pluto, because we've got Neptune and Uranus playing along at 4 degrees in their own way. And so this is a very powerful energy saying, yes, it's tension. Yes, this is the final battle. Yes, do not give up. We haven't quite, we know we're starting to see the truth and understand the power that we have, but we have not been successful at claiming it back. And that's the Jupiter opposite Pluto, because Jupiter says it's time to shine in Leo. Pluto says, well, why haven't you so far? It's kind of like an initiation energy we felt around Pluto turning retrograde at those early degrees of Aquarius. And Pluto represents power, not the raw power. Like Mars is the raw power, our will force, our ability to, our warrior self. Pluto represents our higher psychic power. And so it's an energy of fear of our own power and external control over our psychic power. So this Jupiter in Leo pushing us into expressing the truth of who we are. Mercury, Sun, Moon in Cancer is saying who we are as human. And we're understanding that as humans, we have more of a right to the technologies, the natural, beautiful technologies of Earth that we've already experienced in the past but have been stolen from us. And the only thing that can keep this game going on is if we don't remember that we already had these advanced technologies. But here we are, and we've made it through. So we stand in truth, and we have to kind of, so that's the energy of Jupiter opposite Pluto. It's this wrestling, battle around who is going to get to be in charge of the resources of Mother Earth. And we know who wins, but oh man, it's intense, huh? Very intense times. And that was one thing that came through that Cancer new moon activation. I urge you to go get that replay. Very powerful work. Oh my gosh. Bloodline work, understanding about contractual arrangements that we've made that are keeping us from really claiming back our power and potential, and so just so much clearing and healing happened in that session. So go get that Cancer new moon activation replay. It's so powerful. The more supernova souls that do this work, that like show up and experience it for themselves, it strengthens the field around these concepts. It gives all of us more strength and confidence to be able to follow through on this vision we've been holding in our heart and our soul from the beginning of time. This is our connection to Mother Earth. We love her so much. She's a goddess, and she's calling out for connection, for humanity to come back. And it feels desperate call. Like if we don't, then we might lose it all. And that's the energy of that Jupiter square Chiron, especially when they were in the cardinal signs. Moving into the fixed signs, that was Aries and Cancer. Moving in the fixed signs, that's Taurus and Leo. And that's a different quality because the fixed signs are leaders and establishing a new order. Cardinal signs start the energy, mutable signs, it's about adjusting. And then the fixed signs are like, okay, the new order. And so it's kind of a leadership energy. And that's where we're feeling the pressure as supernova souls, to come into the leader that we are. And, we know for supernova souls, it's the reluctant leader often. And that's exactly what the Cancer new moon activation was working with. Like where can we, receive or not the blessings that want to come our way. Beautiful reset in the Cancer new moon activation for the last shift of ages, right when the Christ event or the Christ consciousness was, it was able to be experienced in a community before the whole death and resurrection drama. And it was a beautiful, beautiful reset, recognizing that we have been dispersed. And it was almost like some of the strongest contracts, we've been clearing all these authority contracts, but some of the strongest contracts are contracts we made with ourselves or our soul group, our community. And the contracts we made as that soul group, the Essenes at the last shift of ages, it was about we agreed to disperse, to not connect with each other, to hide the teachings, hide our identities in order to try to salvage what they called the true church, or what they felt, what we would call that today, maybe. And so we have not had permission within our own being. So we can clear those external authority contracts, but where have we agreed within our own being to stay secret and as a covenant with each other? Because those contracts were used by the control forces to try to keep us from, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's keep you hidden. Yeah, let's keep all that stuff hidden, and then we can use it for our own uses. And so it's been a long drama. And wow, are we feeling it with the North Node coming to the end of his time in Pisces. The North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. They came into these signs in March of 2025, stay about a year, a little over a year. And so it's a big deal it's a, chapter change, kind of screen, backdrop change when the nodes switch signs. And especially this time, because this North Node in Pisces was in Pisces along with Saturn and Neptune as they were making their dance over that Aries point this last year. And so with Neptune and Saturn both in Pisces for those couple of years, and then the North Node, it was this huge bloom of Pisces energy taking us back into the persecution energies of the Piscean age. And it's like so deep in the trauma and trying to figure all that out. It's like we missed, or it's all designed to keep us from remembering what's underneath the trauma, the reason why, this beautiful spiritual experience that came to the earth that we got to be a part of. And we haven't been able to fulfill and move that to the next chapter. And that's the reconciliation that happens at the shift of ages, right? It's got to happen. It's got to correct. The blessings came and they were blocked, but you can't actually keep them from coming. You can only delay. And the shift of ages has an energy of timeline alignment, right? Like you got to correct in order to move to the next chapter. You can't take those old patterns with you. And we're really feeling this because right now the North Node, as of, let's see, it's been there for a week or so already at 0 degrees of Taurus, South Node, 0 degrees of Virgo. And so, but the North Node Pisces, because the North Node is like, how do you get forward? So for all of us, the effect of the North Node in Pisces has been the only way forward is to heal these persecutions of the Piscean age, the misunderstandings of Christ consciousness, the misuse of Christ consciousness, but really claiming back the miracles and magic of the Piscean age. Our birthright, our inheritance. And we have to receive it. So a big part of the times that we're living in is that we have to come back to gratitude, come down to earth, it's a period of testing. It's very annoying. Because we've gone through enough tests, haven't we? All these years and lifetimes of initiations and trying to get back to who we were as an already initiate. And so there's just this kind of frustration, exhaustion at the process. Like, are we going to get anywhere at any point? It's just all this work we've done, all these prayers, all this healing, all these contract clearing. Is it going to take a hold? Because that's a different world. We know it's a radically different world. So that's kind of the energy of Mother's message right now. She says, well, doesn't it make sense that it would get really weird and really uncomfortable right before it shifts? Wouldn't it be a bloom of the opposite? Right before it resolves into what Mother wants it to be. And it's kind of an inevitable thing. So that is kind of the energy of the South Node, the last element in Pisces. We've had something in Pisces since 2011 with Neptune there. And so it's a long time of this intense rehash of the Piscean age. And now then that message that, yes, we can clear the karma of it, but it's really about reclaiming that impulse, spiritual energy that was misused to control humanity. And now we take it back. So there's just a lot of pressure around this because we can feel we're coming to the end. Now, if we've been getting this message that to complete the Piscean age, we have to reclaim the miracles and magic, then we only have another week or so of the North Node. The North Node actually 2 weeks. We've got 2 weeks. North Node moves over into Aquarius, South Node Leo at the end of July, the 28th of July. And so we've got 2 weeks here of left of the North Node in Pisces and this whole energy of reclaiming. So we haven't seen that. I know we're feeling, I know supernova souls are feeling the shift of energies, the change, like something's going on. But we haven't had this visible display of Christ consciousness that we kind of had this, I try to stay away from future and advice, but this was an indication that was given. So what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks? We've got Jupiter opposite Pluto, just like up against a wall with the blocking energies that have kept us from coming into who we really are. And that's what we need. That's kind of what I was getting to, this time of testing. It's like we can't rest on our laurels. We don't have time. We don't have an option. And we are being pushed to come down to what really matters, drop, total ego death. Jupiter opposite Pluto is the ego death. And, but also a realigning with the authentic aligned power within us. And so that is what's awakening. It's almost like you can't, all the things that they're trying to do to keep evolution and ascension from happening, we got that message for a while now that it's boomeranging. It's ultimately going to only make it stronger, only going to support ascension. So just know that whatever you're going through, this is the place, that it's like this huge resistance that you need to push you. Because I was thinking about this today where we were at a couple years ago and talking about making a leap and taking a chance on these changes in our lives. And it's like, well, we had no idea what we were up for and up to and we had no idea. And so to step back and say, look at how far we've come and the strength of our soul essence, like what we're claiming it back, and just see the progress that we've made, that we're not so scared to say yes to the abundance of who we are anymore. And that's everything we got with Uranus and Taurus. It's like, hey, humanity, supposedly there's this golden age coming, but you don't think you deserve it. Is that what's playing out in the world right now? It's a very much this feeling of all the resources are leaving. I know in my life, just like we've had this for a while. It's like, okay, let go of some more, and yet such this inner conviction in the supernova soul of the wealth that we are. And that's the unavoidable truth of this astrology, because this Cancer energy of coming off of Jupiter in Cancer, Mercury retrograding over that same area. This is why it's so intense. If you're feeling this Mercury retrograde, it is vulnerable. It's insecurity. It's that feeling of everything leaving, the challenge of your hope and faith that has always been so strong. On the other hand, a sensitivity, a feeling of the dimensional, just really feeling everything. And so it's just such a weird dichotomy of things going on. But with the Sun, Mercury, and the Moon here, and Mercury going back over the same degrees that Jupiter took the retrograde. And we had that Jupiter retrograde feeling like, everything tide going out. And so now Mercury going over there, it's just like, it's the same. It's a bloom, but on another level. Mercury is about understanding. It's our thought, our mind, and how it works, our perspective. And so Mercury retrograde is always about a change in perspective. And this is a change in perspective around our relationship to nurturing who we are as human. It's our roadblock. It's like Mother is like, you guys, figure this out, get it fixed, or we're not going anywhere. Shit has to just shut down till we get this thing right. And that is that we're human. We're not robots. We are not reptiles. We are not out to do harm, deliberate harm. We are about supporting sentient life and spiritual evolution, just like Mother Earth. We're her stewards, her warriors. So this bloom of the control forces is serving the purpose of helping us see what we're not. It's a false mirror. And we got to look at the true mirror. And that's like Mary Magdalene is often depicted with a mirror, and or has been. And it's kind of this energy of like, oh, is that vanity thing? But it's like a complete misunderstanding. The mirror is a true reflection. It's like Mother's garden. And it's a beautiful way to go through life in that energy of being a true reflection, because you can recognize even if there's only one little spark of that good divine organic truth within the organization or the person or the energy, you can reflect that back to them, So we want a true reflection. And I saw a picture of like mirrors in our consciousness, like implant type thing in our brain or consciousness, where it's like two mirrors and they're just going back and forth, mirroring back, re-triggering trauma, right? Oh, here's your mirror of your trauma issues and your issues and your issues. And then you're like, short circuit, and this is what's been going on. The level of infiltration would blow you away. And so just know what you've made it through, because this is where we're at. We're like, wait, we're here. We stand. We have the authority. We see it. And how is this going to unfold? that in the next couple of weeks, we have this determination over whether we win Earth back, and a massive revelation of Christ consciousness in public. Or, I don't know what it looks like. Like I said, I don't want to do advice, but it's a very powerful time we're living in. So the other thing, so this Jupiter opposite Pluto, we got this incredible tension. But we also have the sun will be coming into square with Chiron on the 23rd. And so we'll start feeling that next week around the 19th or 20th. That 19th is so powerful. That whole 17th, 18th, 19th leading up to this. But the 19th is the first day of the exact Jupiter opposite Pluto. And that's when we also start feeling that sun square Chiron. Sun in Cancer. So coming back to this energy of what this Cancer is showing us, it's like, and what Mother's saying, like, we don't correct the misuse of energies that are being misused of Mother Earth's energies for harm. It's like we can't, it's getting to the point where it won't be correctable, and we've got to correct it. So, and it's, I had an interesting energy, and this has shifted since this came through. This came through a little bit in the Cancer new moon activation. But, the Cancer energy and the retrograde and Jupiter retrograde and now Mercury in the same place, it's like this grief. It's like this uncomfortable feeling, this sadness, this grief, this yearning. It's like, and that is like, is that this voice of Mother that's like calling to us to come back home, to come back into, out of this delusion of separation and into the union with her again. And, but there's this energy of that we are, that the call we're hearing is sentient life coming alive, like mother's waking up, the life force is flowing on Mother Earth again, Mother Dragon's waking up, our life force is waking up. We know that this is just part of the times that we live in. And so there's this sentient life that's been trapped in technology. And that's what we're feeling. This could be cloning, or it could be like the hijacking of consciousness through technology in our bodies. But it's like screaming, it's like it can't go on. And it's interesting because Rudolf Steiner talked about this, that as we evolve in our consciousness, we get more and more sensitive, more empathic, and we won't be able to allow pain and suffering in the way that it has been on Earth, because we just won't be able to handle it. You can feel everything that the other people in the room are feeling. And we can already feel a supernova soul, so we understand that feeling, And we've been carrying this collective pain and grief. And I really do think that this Mercury retrograde is an excruciating journey back into that energy, but it's really about healing. That Cancer new moon had this huge energy of a rebirth of Earth. That what came forward that I found was this research that, of course, they don't want us to know about, is classified, CIA, that says that proving how fast the human body can regenerate itself, like within 48 hours. And so can Mother Earth's body, we know her body, our body, and this connection. Can Mother Earth regenerate that fast too? Like, that's what we've been doing, really, literally rebirthing, because we have the original codes. So it's like we can regrow Earth from those original codes, no matter how far we've been separated from her. Because we, supernova souls, are her stewards. We have that connection. We were there with her. So all this coming up of like this, and of course you can't come back into a loving relationship with Mother Earth without feeling guilty or repentance for how far away we've gone. So that's part of the Cancer energy. It's like coming back home to Mom, but do you even deserve her love? And then how to correct in our being, and not beat ourselves up, because it's like we've been carrying this energy for so long, but we're not the ones. Yes, we all have our little things that we could be more in alignment. We could beat ourselves up all day long. But the level of evil that's been allowed to happen on this planet is so beyond. Like, why do you have the shame and they don't have any shame? And this all goes back to that distortion around the truth of what really happened in the Atlantean catastrophes, because we got blamed and we took the blame, but it's not even in our power to miscreate on that level. And yet they duped us this whole time. And no wonder we have shame when we come back to Earth, because literally destruction. If we believe that we were part of her destruction erroneously, and we're her children and we love her so much, and we're like, that's rough, man. And we've had that for lifetimes. So I think that's part of what's going on with this, all of this, because what's the other thing that's happening with this Cancer retrograde is this unwinding of cellular trauma and also trauma programming in the energetic field. Because even if we can't find the memories of trauma we've gone through from other lives or this lifetime, that like say our memories were wiped or we had the draft of forgetfulness between lifetimes, that what we experience still lives in our field. So we're walking around with this invisible, unresolved stuff. And that's why it has to come to the surface, because we will never find it. And if it doesn't bloom enough. So that's kind of where we're at right now in the astrology. So, okay. So we're already feeling Jupiter opposite Pluto. Jupiter's at 2 degrees and Pluto's at 4. So Jupiter will make it to 4 degrees by the end of the week in that exact opposition. So huge energy of just this impending doom, or something's got to give, something's got to change. What is going to happen? Like, and that's just part of the astrology right now. Then Sun square Chiron, Sun in Cancer, and we've just had this understanding of that we have to come back to valuing and honoring, celebrating and growing our humanness if we're going to get through this, if we're going to take back our Earth. And so that is such an intense pressure in square to Chiron. Now, so Sun square Chiron is this triggering of the Jupiter square Chiron. It's done, but then when the personal planets go play in that again, you feel that energy all over. So Sun square Chiron is triggering the energy of Jupiter square Chiron while we've got Jupiter opposite Pluto. And then the other square that's happening, which is so interesting and so dynamic, totally different energy than normally when this happens, when Venus is coming into square with Mars. And Venus square Mars can be so frustrating, so much aggression, so this anger, victimization, the battle of the sexes, and within us, the battle of our intuitive voice and our intellectual voice and our voice of reason, and then our dreams and fantasies. And it's just kind of like a gridlock energy. But the placement of these planets, along with these other intense squares, make this square of Venus and Mars a totally different energy. It's so interesting. It feels like we're just moving into the energy. We start to feel it at the same time, the 19th, when we start to feel Sun square Chiron and the exact of Jupiter opposite Pluto. So that's very powerful energy there, those couple of days. And then we feel it all the way through the first week of August, because they're moving at a similar pace at this moment, or not too far away from each other. So they stay close for a long time, over 2 weeks. And so in the square, and so Venus is in Virgo, just moved into Virgo. And as Venus moved into Virgo, came into a conjunction with that south node of the moon. That was on the 10th of July. So now Venus in Virgo, and Venus, of course, really likes Virgo. It's a feeling of the high priestess. It's purification. It's cleaning and healing and sorting through and making it right and coming back to Earth. And so Venus is liking that energy, kind of this manifestation of the laws and rules of the divine feminine we've been talking about in Mother. And then Mars is in Gemini. So Mars is in a masculine sign, Venus is in a feminine sign, so they're at home in their element, and mutable signs. So it's an adjustment. And there's something about this square that's like, hey, you guys, we've been doing this battle of us against them, divide and conquer. They've been fueling both sides of every war for so long. And wait a minute, maybe we should take our energy of opposition and see what kind of dynamism can happen when we work together. it's really, really interesting. But what's Mars working for in Gemini? He's working for the expression of whatever needs to be expressed, because Mars is just going to fight for it. And that's where this square says, Venus says, hey, let's get the message right. And then Mars says, all right, you got to come out of hiding. You know, it's almost like the feminine, Mary Magdalene's whole thing, this frustration of why isn't these teachings available? Why can't people find this impulse? And it's like, well, remember those contracts we're talking about where we agreed to hide so deep in the ground with the scrolls we've hidden even from ourselves? And then how are they going to find you to get the message? So there's this really interesting dynamic where Venus in Virgo is like, so there's a purification of the feminine. Now, this is interesting because we've done so much work on the empowering the feminine and all our wounds and everything, and the masculine, getting him all sorted out and getting back on the team, you know, working for her dream. But there's this interesting energy coming up around distortions of the feminine that need to be addressed. And Venus in Virgo wants to heal that, go back to the pure high priestess energy that's just pure love, you know. And the two erroneous energies that seem to want to work out around in the feminine is this competition energy, which is really a masculine trait, but it's like fighting over the masculine and always jealous and competitive, and that can't, you know, that is a jealous energy, say, of a beautiful, empowered woman who walks into the room. But a real empowerment would make every woman in the room feel more beautiful, or just the whole energy of the goddess present. So the energy of competition in the female has been very disastrous. And then there's the energy of the mother that couldn't say no. Like, we have to find our boundaries. And this is an interesting energy of Cancer, because we forget. It's like, oh, Cancer is loving, nurturing, trying to come into that energy again. And do we deserve it and all that? But it's opposite Capricorn, which is like laws and rules. And so there's an element of mother that's an authority. And we've got to find this. That the masculine can't stand for her in the way she can stand for herself. And, you know, no matter what, he's never going to be able to protect her from what, because she's got access to creation energy. She's got to be her own savior, you know. I don't know, maybe it's some of the deeper mysteries of the what's been cut out of our history and the story. Has to do with this healing, a deeper healing, that the feminine can rest and heal from the PTSD and the traumas and the overwhelm enough to unwind, to get to these deeper energies of purification and alignment, you know, deeper alignment, come out of the victimization and the stuck energies, and feel that she can empower herself. Nobody's coming to save her. And she is because she's powerful enough to negotiate her own release, because she is the law. That's what the divine feminine represents, you know, mother's laws and rules. And so it's a reckoning, and that's the energy. So with the other squares, Sun, our humanness, square Chiron and Taurus, do we have permission to embody our higher technological abilities and light? And then we've got Jupiter opposite Pluto. Like, are we going to stand up and take our power and claim our Earth? Because it's kind of now or never. This is our window, you know, like the astrology says, this is your window, let's go, you know. And so then we've got Venus square Mars, but it's something so dynamic of like, hey, we're struggling. We've been apart from each other. It's almost like this repelling energy of the power of, say, two supernova souls, masculine and feminine in perfect balance. And it's this magnetic attraction, but then a repelling. And in that is the scalar wave. That's free energy. So it just feels like this, we're just on the edge of reclaiming free energy with this lining up of planets. So like our four major big player generational planets: Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter, all in a line at 4 degrees, 4 planets at 4 degrees, all in a row in the masculine signs. And that's action, it's light, it's energy, it's movement. And so the sextiles are very harmonious. It's exactly this energy. I feel like those sextiles lining up is going to allow the Venus square Mars to be dynamic energy creation rather than the battle of the sexes, And actually that's interesting because concept was reflected in, I believe it was the 17th. There's all these crop circles this year. I think we've had 18 or something new crop circles this year, record number of them, and just kind of interesting the shapes that come up. But this one had 2 circles within a circle, like creation, but then 2 circles, 2 whole circles, 2 suns, masculine and feminine, their own whole being. But then the energy between them being just this exponential raying out of power from the balance of 2 wholes. And it's like, it's like in that one picture, you can see the truth of that. And then the complete lie that we've been living in this us against them, divide and conquer agenda. Keep us against each other. And then we never recognize a common enemy that's kept us enslaved in human consciousness and prison and enslaved. So those other squares and the Jupiter opposite Pluto and the magical lining up, it says that's got the energy of this Christ conscious miracles, to get all those planets to line up at 4 degrees, total miracle. And Jupiter's there, I believe, from on the 19th, 20th. Actually, it must be from the 19th to the 23rd that Jupiter's at 4 degrees. And so that's these magic days. It's like, yes, Jupiter opposite Pluto, but it's talking to all these other things that are going on. And it makes Venus square Mars and mutable signs an adjustment back to like, we are separate, different, individual, yet we have each other inside of ourselves. And it's not a battle against, and a rewounding of each other. It's like, it's this opportunity for free energy. And doesn't that make sense with everything we've been talking about? The abundance of the golden age and taking back the technologies that have been misused and that were stolen from us. We were shamed into thinking we couldn't handle them or didn't deserve them as advanced souls, through these time all the way from Atlantean time. Designed to keep us at the threshold now, not willing to step into and receive these spiritual energies, these ascension energies. And that's where we are working all this out. Shame, blame, am I good enough? Can I handle it? Is my body going to explode? And that's everything that's in the Owning Your Energetic Field course. I would highly encourage you. It's so profound what's coming through. This is years and years, lifetimes of work on basically how to own your energetic field so you can turn on your light, turn on your energy, and turn on your light body. But the containment thing is the main thing we need right now with this bloom of the parasitic demonic energies. So the more of us that are doing that work together in that consciousness, the stronger the supernova field is to claim that we are not going to be controlled by external powers and entities. We know the truth now. We remember who we are. And so I really would love, and I put a sliding scale down to $55 for that course. And we've done the first 3 sessions, but you can catch up with the replays. Please consider joining and bringing your energy. I could use the support financially as well. If you could drop a donation. Difficult times for everyone. I know as the tide goes out and we know it's coming back in. We know we are the abundance. And yet we're in the wrestling. And so if you can drop any support donation, get through this time. And I really appreciate this. I'm so sorry that I'm not better at packaging these gifts and skills to be able to build a stronger foundation for us. I've been working at it, but everything has worked against it. And this is what we're going to find. Maybe that's the energy of the Jupiter opposite Pluto. It's like, hey, we have had unnatural opposition through trauma-based programming and control, abuse, abduction for far too long, and it's like, they just don't want us to know that this has been happening. They don't want us to see the truth, and yet it's just bleeding through, isn't it? And it means that the matrix system is just fraying at the seams and falling apart, and that's why it feels so weird right now. But I think we're going to be in the weirdness for a while, because we're moving into that eclipse season. And that means that in August, we've got these eclipses. And so the eclipse season will officially start at the next lunation. So we've got the North Node at 0 degrees Pisces, which is so weird. And time itself is so weird. We're at the shift of ages. Chiron at 0 degrees Taurus, so weird. And then eclipses have that energy too. And Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Mercury retrograde in the water signs is always strange. And so that all together, so the eclipse season will start with the Aquarius. We kind of have to surrender, I guess, is the message, to the weird feelings, the unknown, but a lot of it is just like pulling yourself in your body and being like, I am here. This is my body. This is my life. This is my consciousness. I am right here. It's like, that's a really important energy, but kind of we have to surrender to the weird. It's not going to go back to the way it was. We have no normal. We have no frame of reference. We have to just kind of ride the waves and hold on to our body, hold on to our consciousness, hold on to each other. More and more, we're able to connect with each other in our consciousness. And that is the beautiful gift of that activation work and the classes, because we are really using our intention and our strength, our will, to forge these communication lines between supernova souls. And we're coming back together. We saw it because we're clearing those secrecy contracts, and where we've agreed to stay secret from ourselves and each other. And so we've been saying, why can't I find my people? While we were hiding under the bushel, not even realizing how big, or maybe realizing how big our light is. And that's the problem. And all this astrology is that it's too intense. We have to push through. We've already had to face the fear, overcome. We don't have time for fear. And that's the Jupiter opposite Pluto. It's like, what we're here for this activation into the true power and landing home of who we really are and our bigger self. So let's get on with it. It's too intense, too much pressure to stop and worry, have anxiety. Although there's a lot of this energy subtle in the field right now. This has to do with Uranus and Gemini and this activation, vibrational activation of our nervous system. So be real gentle, real careful with your nervous system, because with this Cancer retrograde, we're called to rest, heal, and allow that cellular regeneration. Ask what is going to help that cellular regeneration in your body, because we have to rapidly and quickly choose organic life and regenerate. In this time, it's like the radical turnaround. And so that requires a big level of self-care, detox, support for your body, and also your emotions, and understanding that that you might have tissues. Say if you got an injury, and that as the injury kind of can, especially in the brain, it'll just kind of go numb. And then or say anywhere in your body, when you go to do deeper healing with that injury, the pain's going to come back. Like we said, we talked about so many times the natural order of healing in the body and disease. First it's energy, then it's a manifestation. And so we have to understand that as the healing happens, there's going to be a manifestation of symptoms, because it's showing you that energy is leaving. And this is exactly what we're dealing with right now. In the rebirth of Earth, Cancer new moon, the energy was like came forward like Mother Earth is getting a remedy. She's getting that spark of life force reset. Because what happens when you have the appropriate vibrational, a matching picture in the energy of the substance and nature that matches the symptoms of the person, and you give that homeopathic remedy, the effect, it's not the remedy doing it. It's the mirror. It's a true reflection, and it's the pathway home. And it's so beautiful. The experience of this is like an example of the miracle energy. If you're really struggling and you get a homeopathic remedy that fits and starts to work in the body, and you can feel your body mobilizing to do what it needs to do, you feel the power of the body fixing it, and it changes your whole perspective. First of all, it's a miracle because you feel better. in 15, 20 minutes, something shifted that you feel a little bit better, you're going to make it. And then you feel this mobilization. Anytime you take a homeopathic remedy, and even just the simplest low dose remedy for something simple, first aid in your life, if that remedy resonates and the vital force is triggered by the remedy in the pathway it needs to take for healing, your whole vital force is strengthened from that one dose. For the future, like you're stronger after that than you were before that remedy. This is why they've gone after homeopathy so much. And I'm really excited to, in the next chapters coming, homeopathy classes. I know I've had a lot of requests for that. And so thank you for that, because it's so important, powerful. And I've recently had that where it was like having a moment, these difficult times, all we're going through with what we're dealing with, and targeting our physical body with all these toxins and frequencies and strange street theater and things like this. But I had this experience where it was like, okay, no, I got this understanding of the remedy picture. A simple remedy, just took the remedy. But it's a remedy that also works on hereditary layers. And I was like, oh, this is a collective energy too. And when that remedy took me out of the state and the pain and the trauma trigger, it, like the miracle of that, of relief. But you can't receive a miracle if you can't receive a miracle. First, you have to have a reason for a miracle, and then you have to receive the miracle. And maybe this is where we're at right now, because I seriously stopped practicing homeopathy because the most difficult part of the homeopathic practice was convincing people in this day and age that it was possible to heal in that way. Homeopathy can remove hereditary layers. It can cure the incurable. And so then I realized that the block that people had to receiving a miracle, the possibility of it, has to do with karma. And this came through the Aggregate reading. So basically, we don't have any symptoms. Maybe if we're poisoned, immediate poisoning type of thing like we're going through. But for most of us, all of our chronic stuff and stuff we deal with in our health and tendencies in our body all has to do with past life. So then I started addressing health issues through past life readings. I was already doing the past life readings or along with the homeopathy. But so then we have the question of how do we get to the place where we can receive the miracle that's offered? And this is a question for all of us, because we're, especially supernova souls, the low self-worth that we've been programmed with. So we really got to work this out. And that's a lot of this nitty-gritty, deep subconscious, uncomfortable, insecure places that this Mercury retrograde in Cancer is taking us to. So we can get that all sorted out to receive the miracle. In a reading, this very clear thing came through, which is interesting to think about, that the miracles that Yeshua performed it required a miracle worker to receive, and they were actually all Magdalens. Magdalene is an order, and it's men and women, and so it's an ancient order going way back to Atlantean time in ancient Egypt, the mysteries of the goddess, the secrets of these advanced technologies that the Essene people were keepers of. And Yeshua, the journey he took of this death and resurrection was just a mystery school teaching coming out into the public of these ancient goddess mysteries. But anyway, so that has to do with the Magdalene order, both men and women, and actually more men probably, because it involves the Knights of the Templar. And so the Magdalene order, the people that received a miracle, it was already preordained. And they had to be a miracle worker themselves. They represented the Magdalene. And so that's why those miracles were able to occur. Again, it's the scalar wave. You got to have both the masculine and the feminine. And this is what we don't understand. If we don't get that balance of masculine and feminine and hear Mary Magdalene's story and understand how the Catholic Church stole her ministry and called her a whore. So until we get this, we can't get the scalar wave. We can't get the miracles and the healing and all that, And it really says, it's like, oh, that was an adept spiritual person to be able to play out that and receive that healing. It took two, and the Magdalene presence of you have to be a miracle worker to receive a miracle. So we're in this place of like, okay, miracle energy is coming, but is it just going to go to most people and they're going to miss it? Or are we going to help them catch it as the cup of God, like as the cup, the Holy Grail that can hold the frequencies in our body? That's what we've been working for this whole game, this whole dance, trying to get the physical body that the Christ consciousness can incarnate into. And that was what Yeshua had to go through so much to be able to accomplish that feat. And he did it in a few years, and an experience of over a night on 3 days, and the whole story. But we've been doing it through this whole age, going through the persecutions and now the crucifixion, time and space, and so many mysteries also came through in that Cancer new moon activation about this. And so it's a very interesting energy when we go back and look at the Venus square Mars dynamic with all this other tension going on. But so much dynamic change at the same time, with Chiron at a new sign. That's an 8-year cycle, but going to go back into Aries and then come back into Taurus for good in April of 2027. But still, it's like a new chapter's opening. The nodes are switching signs. Jupiter just switched signs. So everything's saying, hey, right? It's weird because you're in between. It's just going to be weird because it's such a huge shift. A shift of ages. It's just big. And this is something we need to keep in mind, that throughout evolution of human evolution, there's these periodic leaps. And if we know that, then that's that kind of fits the miracle energy, doesn't it? That we can receive the miracle because it's just the time we live in. And is that why we've had to go through hell and back? So we know we deserve it. And we don't, something came through in this picture. A lot of times we imagine a tree, a Bodhi tree, a tree, a certain species, where we kind of connect with the energies of being able to connect through roots, our root chakra, and then on the leaves and our crown. And we often get this message to just open up in our consciousness to the human form of photosynthesis. And this is kind of what we're talking about here. And this energy of that canopy of the tree and reaching up into the light. And this is who we are as souls, and the consciousness of being able to assimilate these higher and embody these higher frequencies. And everything is about this. There's a huge leap at each, it appears we're having the pattern, the shift of ages. We've got a leap. And so maybe that can help us open up and feel worthy to receive. And then going through all we've gone through. Okay, that was the message I was trying to get to. I was like, what was I talking about? The tree, they don't go part way through and like have an entitlement issue, or don't feel worthy of like, oh no, I don't want to take that from anybody else. I won't take the last cookie in the jar or whatever. And it's like, the tree is not that. They are so entitled. And animals too. They're like, that's the Taurus, a healthy Taurus energy, the entitlement of the resources and the enjoyment, that we're worthy. And so it's a beautiful thing to connect with the animals and the trees and see this unapologetic receiving of what they need to flourish. And that flourishing in that full unapologetic receiving of the resources creates more resources. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's something you don't want to limit. And that's where we went to the jealousy, competition, the limiting, scarcity, poverty, the limiting of creation energy on earth. And it has a lot to do with what we've been talking about a lot, doing a lot about in the activation, the classes, reptilian, healing of reptilian infiltration, or lower life form messing, tinkering with our DNA. And that's like a clamp that has shut down the flow of creation life force. And so very powerful, because that means it's coming back. And we know how to operate this. We know how to operate this. We know how to host these energies in our body. We've been preparing for lifetimes. We know how to operate the technology. We might not remember right now, but we know we do. And so we've got to step into that entitlement. That seems to be the Chiron in Taurus, like entitlement, like, to stop cutting ourselves into pieces as light workers, saying, oh yeah, I'll give you some and you don't have any, and yeah, why should I have it all? It's like, no, you have it all because you know how to work that shit and you better own it. You gotta know what you hold, And so this is the energy of this entitlement, that the tree doesn't grow and decide that it's not worthy of the light of the sun or the nutrients and the support of Mother Earth. It's going to take those and flourish as a prayer, as an offering, that we take these resources and we build and we grow more and more beautiful energy. And that's the new Renaissance in a nutshell. But it could be helpful for us to kind of go through this transformation of blooming into this power that we have within us, and unapologetically, and saying, yep, it's mine. And I'm not gonna feel bad that you don't have it, because this is lifetimes of work and you guys have only just treated us like garbage the whole time. And you want the spoils of war after you fought against us, and then you want to try to come claim the spoils of this war after we just finally got back what was stolen from us, and you didn't care, you were asleep to it. So there's just this kind of empowerment and entitlement, and saying, I'm not here to halfway receive what mom wants to give me. I want it all. I want to eat the whole head of the snake, the Ouroboros. Total ego death, total receiving of your God consciousness, and saying yes to this big, opening our mouth to this goddess energy of the life force flowing through us. And we're saying, yeah, we're going to be like that tree. We're going to reach and have the strongest trunk we can have. And it doesn't mean that the trunk next to us isn't strong. That's going to be even stronger too. So we strengthen what's real and what matters. And that has everything to do with all this Cancer, our Sun in Cancer, our identity as humans. What a powerful and magical time. The empowered, the human revolution of being like, whoa, we are the ones that are the stewards. We know how to do it right. We trust ourselves. We love ourselves. We love Mother Earth. And we're not going to hold back in this meekness, a fear of being seen in the light and the bounty and the glory of the most beautiful, thickest, healthiest organism, this trunk of the tree, and reaching to receive the light. The tallest tree, reaching as high as we can. No holding us back now, supernovas. And no wonder we were scared. And no wonder we had to go through so much to not be scared and to feel worthy of our abundance. But this is where it turns around. It must. If like this golden age is coming and we're like, oh, I kind of failed Mother Earth back then, and I don't feel like maybe are you sure I can have it? It's kind of how we've been playing. And it's like, because we don't want to fight and argue and go to war. And so, but now we have to. And it's a righteous war. It is a righteous, it's the entitlement thing isn't to the rightful owner. It is the rightful owner. It's the righteous owner is the rightful owner. And that's where we need to own it. We need to be kind of like zealous about this. We just don't have any choices. And it's so powerful how this is all coming together. So coming back to our timeline, sorry, I go around in circles here, but we'll cover it all. Aquarius full moon coming up on the 29th. And so first of all, we actually have the 19th, 17th, 18th, 19th, leading us into Jupiter exact opposite Pluto, Sun square Saturn, Venus square Mars, but also the miracle lining up. And because we have Jupiter coming into the alignment at 4 degrees, and we've got Chiron and the North Node both at 0 degrees. We've got Mars will be in sextile to Saturn at 14 degrees, which 1 and 4 is 5. Loud and clear. It is time to roll on this program. Mars and Gemini, loud and clear. The masculine ready to stand up, the Templars ready to come forward again and be like, hey, let's get this story corrected. That's the energy of this square. Like Venus being like, I think I made it through. I'm living in the garden. I'm in the garden. Mother's garden, Mother's garden. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And then Mars rolls through in Gemini. He's like, all right, it might be time to drop some bombs, some truth bombs, you know, some revolutionary information about our goddess queen. Get her back on her throne so we can all be back in the garden, in the overflowing cup of her love. And it's so beautiful. It does have that feeling of the dam has been, you know, it's like the energy's been held back by a dam, the life force flow, and it's just breaking through, right? And so it has that energy of quickly, immediately, overnight, a blink of an eye, you know, this change that we're going through. And that would make sense. But here we are, this 2 weeks, 2 more weeks of the Piscean age. I mean, there's a lot of different ideas out there and arguments that we still have like 400 more years in the Piscean age, but the astrology is saying this is when we move in, because this is the thing I'm trying to get to here. The Aquarius full moon happens on July 29th, and that will happen at 6 degrees Aquarius, 30 minutes. So very powerful, because that's exactly half a degree. It's like 6.5. And 6 is an energy of Earth, but also the entrapment of Earth consciousness, of higher consciousness potential in the Saturn, Satan, black cube, using physical manifested reality to entrap and enclose humanity. So the 6, we're taking back the 6. And 6.5 is like, oh yeah, you round up to 7. And 7 is Christ consciousness, and that's what we're doing for Earth. We're saying, no, we're not in the trap of just only evolving to the 6. We're evolving to the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? Get out of the way. They don't want us to go there because they don't get to come with. And it's not our problem. We're pissed off enough now. We're not worried about hurting the feelings of a machine. Right? And it's like all this big, scary authority, Oz behind the curtain. And it's like, you can't ruin what's real, actually. But you, on the other hand, those machines and technologies and clones and fake people and whatever, it's like they can be turned off with a flick of a switch. They're going to the data center to get reprogrammed. And so this is like, we've got to own this and be like, whoa, organic life and a connection to Mother Earth. That's what gives us access to the technological energies, you know? And we've been allowing technology to be our overlord, just going along with it. Oh, sure. Go ahead. Rate me a little more. Go ahead and steal my energy and then double tax it as you sell it back to me. And this is literally the world we've been living in. And you know how it's held in place? It's held in place through sorcery. And that's the energy of Pisces that could happen in that energy, because it's about delusions and using the spiritual impulse energies of the Piscean age. That's correct. You know, using that to control humanity through structured religion. So again, stealing Mary Magdalene's ministry and turning it into the Catholic Church that was just about covering up very dark, non-spiritual, very not spiritual, very against humanity activities, and stealing money and just horrible false representation of spirituality that shouldn't even be allowed to exist, you know, with all those lies and delusions and the stealing and the changing of the scripts and taking away the books of the Bible and burning the Library of Alexandria. But that information is still available in the Akashic Records and under the Vatican. So it's very interesting, this energy, because it feels like that reptilian DNA distortion we've been talking about a clamp, a blocking of our abundance through scarcity and control, is very connected to the false Catholic Church. You know, it's not all of the Catholic Church and practicing people who are true in their, you know, in their alignment and their own way. It's those at the top that have been completely misusing. And if people knew what was going on underground and behind the scenes, the Catholic Church would be completely have to fold. And is that what has to happen to redeem Mary? And is this why it's taking so long? But anyway, all of this is on the table. The deal with that Aquarius full moon is it happens on the 29th, and that is when we are feeling, so we're going to be feeling Mercury go direct on the 24th, which is great. But then Saturn turns retrograde on the 27th. So it's going to feel like, oh man, the bigger planets as they turn retro, you don't feel them so much while they're retrograde, but you feel them as they're turning retrograde or direct. So it's just going to have this feeling of like, oh, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. Oh, just this wrestling energy again of like, because Saturn is this reality, laws and rules. Saturn in Aries made it to 14 degrees and turning retrograde, and then in a sextile with Mars in Gemini, very powerful energy, bringing us this picture of creative solutions. The energy of this is that Saturn is our laws, rules, reality. It's kind of and it's ahead, moving faster than Neptune. They were together. And so now making it to 14 degrees, almost halfway through Aries, and then going back, we'll retrograde back to 7 degrees, that number of Christ consciousness. So it's almost like Saturn is the laws and rules, and Aries is the reset, restart of the original divine nature of man, the potential, the full wholeness. We want our new timeline to have the dream of the full wholeness of humanity, and Saturn has to go back and get that right. Get the Christ consciousness piece, which also involves the balance, the story, both sides of the story. And so it's very powerful that Neptune will be retrograde too, so they'll still be, but it's almost like Saturn is going back to talk again to Neptune. They'll be 6 degrees apart or so, but it's like they still have some working out, and maybe 6 degrees, right? What does it mean to be human? What it means to be human and care is divine potential. Because think about it. The highest level of spiritual teachings, which we haven't really even been able to embody, is the teachings of Buddha, even though they were from so long ago. It's compassion, and love and forgiveness and being a good person, right? So the highest level, the representation of the highest level of spiritual consciousness is compassion and love. And this is really important because they've got all this whole fake spiritual ascension they want to pull, alien invasion, whatever. And none of that has, I love you, I care for you, I want to take care of you the way mother wants to take care of us. We cannot accept their false simulation reality any longer. And that's why we have this dramatic, immediate call to come back to recognizing, honoring, and celebrating and growing our humanness. So that energy of this honoring what it is we're striving to attain as humans. All the technologies we want to work with in advancement are not available to us. If we're talking about the Eightfold Path, it's in the Buddhist teachings that Buddha brought. It's an energy of doing good and taking care of each other and not doing harm, not creating karma. And but really, it's about the Eightfold Path is about enlightenment of our light body, turning on our spiritual light. But that was the foundation, and yet it's the highest achievement of humanity too, is compassion. So we got to get this whole thing sorted out because there's not a lot of that energy in our modern world right now. And if we don't have it, we don't get to go. And that's why mom's like, it's like this unspoken thing, but it's like, it's like shutdown. Because mom is pulling back her resources, saying, no, we can't use it this way anymore. It's not going to work for you to continue to create war and harm and clones and all of this. It's just not going to work. The energy cannot flow the way you want it to go. You had the energy flow the way you wanted to go for a long time, all against us, and it's a turnaround moment. And that's where it's not in between. It's now all the way for us and not working for them anymore. And that's exciting, isn't it? Because it kind of says, yeah, it's a shift we're waiting for. We made it through. We can allow it to happen. We can surrender. we want to really hold on to our body, our consciousness, because they're trying to harvest our essence, and get us to give up our body and our soul and stuff. But we also want to surrender to that eating our own tail, I guess, coming into the whole experience of life and mother and alignment and whatever we need to do to make it right. And it's feeling dramatic, isn't it? But remember that we are just selves experiencing life, and that we're not these experiences. When they're so intense, it's hard because you're like, the pain is real, the trauma is real, the drama is real, and how do I even get out of it? Even think that it's possible. And so this is so much of this Mercury retrograde is retraining our nervous system on a cellular level, our body, that this kind of, we're addicted in a way because we've had so much trauma and anxiety in these past years as supernova souls, and we have to kind of allow ourselves to consider something different, a new possibility of energetically, and notice where our body clinches and reacts and says, oh, here we go again. Oh, get ready for it. Oh, it's going to be horrible. And be like, no, mom said it's flipping now. It's turning around. So what would that feel like if it was the opposite, actually? And, our brain doesn't recognize truth. Only our soul does. So we've got to tell our brain a new story. That's the ultimate energy of what's happening it's a new story. In the old story, Neptune and Saturn and Aries, we restart the story to the original dream. Of course, it's a new level of consciousness because we've gone through all this, but we have that original Adam Kadmon, the divine human, which is a perfect conglomeration of masculine and feminine joined together. So it's like there's a divine masculine and a divine feminine in that seed. And we don't know what the divine... Yeshua showed us a good picture of the divine masculine, but we don't have a good picture of the divine feminine. That's been hidden and blocked from us. And so we've got to rewrite the story, and that's where we come in. And that's the energy of Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius. Powerful because we will have Mars will be coming into opposition. Okay, so Venus and Mars in that square on the 30th exact, but we feel it all the way through the first week of August. And within that first week of August is like the drama continues, right? Because now they're coming out of their square, but Venus will come into a square with Black Moon Lilith. So a T square with Black Moon Lilith as they're completing their square. Venus square Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius, and Mars opposite Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. Mars and Gemini opposite Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius. So that happens Venus square on the 2nd of August and Mars opposition on the 4th and 5th. So that's going to be a really interesting kind of continuation of these energies, and Black Moon Lilith coming into play at that will be at 25 degrees. So Black Moon Lilith, deep dark secrets in Sagittarius about our quest, the greater quest. Now, coming back to the Mercury Sun conjunction that we just had, Mercury and the Sun together brings brilliant revelation, clarity. And Mercury retrograde, though, clarity about the past. We are seeking clarity about nurturing mother, who we are as humans, from the past. But the full clarity, glimpses, coming through, but the full clarity of that won't come until Mercury comes back into conjunction with the Sun at the end of August. So that's when the Sun and Mercury will come back together. And that's kind of this next 6 weeks is the energy of working out, digging for the clarity, saying, I'm ready to know who I am. I'm ready to understand the technologies, to remember. We are the rememberers. I have the codes within me. It's divine. It's beautiful. And so to embrace that and take that for ourselves. So very powerful energies. And what happens is that the Aquarius full moon, like I said, on the 29th. And, but on the 28th, the nodes move into Aquarius. And so the North Node, when the eclipses happen, so we have 2 eclipses in August, a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. When eclipses happen, the nodes of the moon, which the nodes of the moon are just points in space, but they have a vacuum quality, and they're about the past and the future and karma. And so, and dharma, like your true path and what's holding you back karmically. So it's so powerful that that new moon is right when the nodes shift signs, and then the north node will sit at 29 degrees Aquarius, south node 29 degrees Leo, all the way until I'm not sure when I wrote it down. I think it's like September. They're going to be at 29 degrees there for a while, almost 2 months. And that's what happens. The nodes of the moon are the intercepted orbit of the sun's orbit and the moon's orbit. So it's a moving point, and it kind of bounces around a little bit, but no retrograde. And so those points are vacuums. And so when the eclipses happen, when the sun and the moon line up with the crossing points of their orbit, right? Because they're all in alignment, and that's where the shadow happens. So it's about alignment, and it's about alignment with the nodes, which are future, dharma, how do we get where we're trying to go, and then south node, what's holding us back from the past. So it's crazy that we've got this energy of the impact of the north node at 0 degrees of Pisces this next 2 weeks, and then 6 weeks of energies of eclipse season, and the north node at 29 degrees Aquarius, and so it's so powerful. That's the end of Aquarius, and that would be the beginning of the Aquarian age, because the ages move backwards. So 29 degrees Aquarius represents the very beginning of right now, where we're at in the shift of ages. And that's why this lineup of all the planets and the way things are happening, it says, yeah, this is, we are stepping into the new age of Aquarius. It just has that message again and again and again. So it'll be a powerful August with those eclipses and the sun, or the nodes. It's like boom, right at 29. So the end of the signs, the beginning of the signs have a huge bloom of the energy. And that's what we're feeling. We've been feeling a huge bloom of the Piscean age at the end of Piscean age. What is a huge bloom of the Aquarian age energy is going to feel like? It might be kind of fun. Are we supposed to be having fun here? We got totally lost track in the survival mode and fighting demons and a galactic war and oh my gosh, the human revolution. But this is saying that it's going to be very different in this new age. But there's an intensity of that, of saying yes to that, of moving into that, and that's the 6 weeks over August. So a solar eclipse on August 12th, that will be at 20 degrees, 2 minutes of Leo. Really cool numbers. 2 lights, 2 suns, Lunar eclipse happening on August 28th, and that will be at 4 degrees, 54 minutes of Pisces. And so then we go back into the Pisces energy. Even though the nodes have shifted, that will be the last eclipse that happens in the sign of Pisces. And it's kind of saying, yep, now we move into the next chapter. And very powerful, because also in the month of August, we've got the Venus kite. That's exact from the 12th to 13th, but we'll be feeling it from the 7th to 15th, the second week and third week. Beautiful, beautiful energy taking flight. Remember, we had the kite last year, but it wasn't exact like this. The planets were like 3 and 2 and 1, or 4 and 5. And so now they're all at 4, So the Venus kite, so beautiful. And then Venus is going to take a retrograde. She's going to have to assimilate that. We're going to have to figure out, okay, what if we do get this huge revelation about the truth of, say, Mary Magdalene, but then we're going to have to adjust to that, or all the truths that are coming, and that might be part of it. We're going to have some time to adjust, and that seems like the Venus retrograde that's going to be in September and October is like, whoa, we're really moving into the new age? Okay. Because the Venus retrograde will be in Libra, the end of Libra, and the beginning of Scorpio. Very powerful cusp for the feminine, because Libra is wanting to get along with everybody and make it all good and happy and compensate and, get all, negotiate all that, and then the energy of Scorpio is like, it's just like life force, that energy of the goddess, just like, no, I'm moving, I'm not scared of this life force energy. That was a huge part that came through that Cancer new moon activation, of fear over that life force energy coming back, that the snake, like a kundalini energy, and we've been taught to fear and to kind of reconciling that energy so that we can be like that tree and have the entitlement and say, yeah, give it all to me, Mom. I want it all. I'm going to eat the whole head of the snake and I'm going to take it all in. I want to be everything I can be in this lifetime. I'm going to be the full expression of this, just like that tree is going to do its best to honor Mother with a full expression. Not like, oh, I don't know if I deserve that, or if I take that, or if there's enough for me, totally different energy. And that's that Chiron moving into Taurus, giving us a flavor of what the next 8 years are about. Worthiness for this embodiment, entitlement for our embodiment, our true wealth. We know we're in a revaluing, because stack up that paper money and all those items that cars and toys and everything. It's just like, it means nothing. And we have the true wealth. It has not been valued. But doesn't it seem, and we're in a bloom of this too, it just feels like, oh God, just being sucked dry at every turn. But we know it has to flip too, where it's like, no, now the world values the invisible. And there needs to be an occurrence that allows that to happen. And it has to do with the miracles trying to come in, the battle, but coming together across the lines to create a scalar wave, go together, humanity coming together against a common enemy, recognizing that we're not each other's enemy. We all want the same thing. And that's very, very important place to get to, because otherwise we'll have a civil war. And that's what they're trying to create. They have been, but it's not working. Because we're seeing through it. We have, it's like enlightenment's happening, ascension's happening. We're waking up and nothing can stop it. And now we look at the next chapter, because we said, no, we achieved this and you can't take it from us. It's very empowering, but it's also really intense, where we're being challenged every moment, every day, to hold our space, hold our authority, keep breathing, keep loving. This is my body. Tell yourself these things about, tell your brain about how powerful your energetic field is, your aura, that you can protect yourself from anything, and you can heal anything and regenerate and help your body control temperature. And, we've got to start telling ourselves a new story. And so we've got to fake it till we make it a little bit, and that's exactly what this time is about. Because if we're going, what's going on? Oh my God, da, da, da. And in the meantime, this whole backdrop is changing. It's like it's like the curtain closed, it got dark, got confusing, got weird, got scary. And it's going to open again with a whole new backdrop. And we know that that's more in alignment with who we are. I am Mother Earth. It's the only way. And it's not just like, oh, we got to get a little bit more caring. No, we tried that for the last thousands of years. This is a radical something happening that brings humanity back to this relationship, to honoring, gratitude, the miracle. Oh, thank God. Oh, just this, appreciation. And so we'll see what that is. And thank you for being here to hold this space. Know that you are here you've achieved this level of handling yourself and dealing with fears and anxieties and holding spiritual peace and faith through whatever happens, because we can't go to more truth and revelation, the golden age and the new age, without some tribulation here, because we're so far away from it right now. And that's kind of where Mom's like, well, here we go, tumbling down the other side of the mountain, hold on. And that's kind of the energy of the astrology. So very powerful times. And just keep in mind that yes, we have these intense squares and oppositions and challenges, but the lining up and the new horizon and the new backdrop and the light is coming through and the new hues and the frequencies of feeling better and lighter and claiming our energy back in our body and feeling healthier and feeling excited about the energy we have to work on the projects we came here to do. So this is what we want, the Cancer retrograde giving us an opportunity to quickly, rapidly reset, reprogram, undo that trauma programming, rest and heal, and get ourselves ready to receive this abundance and this entitlement, this inheritance that we've earned over many lifetimes. And to know that it's ours and we deserve it, and to graciously receive. So that's the mystery of Taurus. So powerful energies, hang in there. So beautiful, so amazing how these things are lining up. Like I said, 18th, 19th, all those planets at 4 degrees, and then 0 degrees, Chiron and North Node both at 0 degrees, Saturn and Mars both at 14 degrees, and then Venus will be over there on her own at 10 degrees, doing her own thing, because she's whole and complete now, and she needs to lead the way. And she thought she needed somebody to come save her, because it's been a rough ride, huh? But she saved herself, and she's in charge. She's strong enough to lead the way, because the feminine we've seen the male as the protector, right? And that makes sense because they're strong, but the feminine has access to creation energy. So we're talking about true protection, true spiritual protection that's stronger in the feminine female body, or bodies that have more access to intuitive power. So she doesn't need a savior now, does she? But maybe she was told a different story, and she was too broken. She didn't deserve the healing or the miracle that she received. So all of this is working out in our field. Is such a powerful time, and I'm so glad we're here together. And thank you so much for your support. Doing a class, I've got a limited amount of individual sessions working on building this coaching program, training coaches, and this energy of empowering us into this full potential. As this stage opens up for us, we want to be ready. And we're kind of limping along, broken from all we've gone through. So we got to quickly heal and put ourselves together. So I'm so glad we're here. And I hope to see you maybe at that Owning Your Energetic Field on the replay of the Cancer New Moon activation. Goddess activation replays are available, or donation. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for being a part of the SuperNova Soul Tribe, coming to those activations again and again. So powerful, the field of energy that we're growing, and the truth, the love, the alignment, and the knowing, and just giving us the strength and confidence. All this vulnerability of being human is actually about recognizing the strength, power, value, and wealth of the sensitivity of the human. The highest power in the whole universe. Love. And we've been told this world has love in it, but there's really not. And we need actual love, not just the words. We need the action to back it up. We need to start taking care of people, and value and honor caretaking is the most important thing. Those professions should be the highest paid professions. And this is part of the revaluing that has to happen on all levels, but it starts right here. And haven't we been doing it? Aren't you feeling a little bit more badass now, even though you didn't know if you were going to make it? Okay, just keep that in mind and keep on the new backdrop that's waiting for us amidst this final battle of finding that empowerment, that strength, and that entitlement for what's ours. So thank you so much for being you. I love you so much, and thank you so much for following the teachings, the work, and for your support, your patience with me. And I look forward to connecting in person. It's coming right around the corner. We're building these pathways and feeling each other more and more. We're all connected now. So in your hard times, just reach out, because you will feel that more than you have been able to. Especially turn on the event, go get a replay, and you'll feel the field of those supernovas. We're all here together. We're all going through the same things in our own unique, individuated, beautiful, faceted expression of divine consciousness. What a blessing it is to be here in these times, now that we know it's going to get a little better, hopefully, right? Thank you so much for being you. I love you so much. Thank you so much for your support, and for doing this work, showing up, going through all you've gone through. I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.